Due to the proliferation of EU myths, often fueled by media attention, the EU has consistently been losing popularity among its people and is often perceived as a bureaucratic monster. For example, the turnout at the European Parliament elections went from 65% at the time of the first direct election back in 1979 to 43% in 2009 on the occasion of the last elections. How to explain why the EU, despite its beneficial policies for European citizens and businesses, is losing popularity? The answer is often captured as the European paradox. Many European citizens are critical of the EU as a project, and according to a recent survey, 67% of them think their voice does not count in the European Union. Or again, only 42% of the Europeans think that their country's interests are well defended in Europe. In several member states, there are political parties highly critical of the simple idea of having a European Union. As you may know, these parties are attracting more and more supporters. Interesting enough, these very same critics often appear quite inconsistent in their claim against Europe. Sometimes they complain about the lack of regulation, some of the times about excessive regulation. And it happens they denounce the little role played by the member states, while at the same time criticizing the exercise of veto power by some member states. They also say that when the EU takes action, it acts in a bad way, imposing absurd burdens. But if the EU does not step in the very same policy area, they often claim that it should have. In any event, it's Europe's fault, is what we often hear from national politicians. Europe becomes the scapegoat for unpopular policies and decisions. Let's pause together on this point and take a quiz. Why are many people critical about the EU? Because there's a deep misunderstanding surrounding it? Because the EU is a very complex machinery? Because national politicians criticize so much the EU? Or for all the above-mentioned reasons? As it is often the case, none of these answers, if taken alone, explains the European paradox. Indeed, this scapegoat approach depends for sure on misknowledge of what the EU is and everyone's role in his own activities. This is also due not only to the real complexity of the system, but also to the role played by the media. Most of them seek to publish entertaining reading instead of real facts. And some of them provide a nation-based image, though Brussels has the larger number of reporters in the world after Washington. Well, this kind of sensationalist journalism, known as yellow press, is not new because it sells. Over the past few years, some newspapers even announced that the EU wanted to ban Nutella, or even to prohibit growing your own garden. Another reason which contributes to this scapegoat approach is also the role played by politicians who sometimes treat the EU as a punchbowl and maybe correctly point out the lack of a European political sphere. However, there are some positive signs. According to the last Eurobarometer survey, citizens perceive as the most positive result of the EU the three movements of people, goods and services, and also peace among the member states, far ahead of other benefits. In other words, there seems to be awareness that the EU has brought about tangible benefits by making the lives of many citizens safer, more peaceful, and more prosperous. However, too often, national politicians who still run the show claim that these benefits are due to their own policies. They blame Europe for other failures for which they should retain responsibilities. The end result today is that too few citizens engage with Europe, thus leaving many decisions in the hands of organized groups and the lobbyists. It is unsurprising, therefore, that in these circumstances, the overall image of the EU appears as opaque. Yet, as we will be illustrating, there are many other opportunities citizens as well as companies may draw from Europe. Aren't you eager of discovering what is the truth behind all of this? Are you willing to discover what Europe has achieved of the last 50 years? Now that we have addressed in this class the question, why the European Union, the next class will be devoted to who is the European Union. And we will be discussing together its main actors, including you, regardless of where you live and the passport you carry with you.